All right, good morning, afternoon, or evening. Delete as necessary. Our lesson this week, or today, is 3.6 and 3.7. We're combining them both together. Properties of polygons. Our objective is to explore the geometric properties of 2D shapes. So here is a whole bunch of 2D shapes. We start on the left-hand side with our triangle, move over to the square, and then we talk about a pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, and octagon. Now these are of course just a few of the shapes that we'll be talking about and looking at this unit, but it gets us started. So looking at the shapes at the top, you've noticed that there is a variable and an equal and the number. And that tells me how many sides each of these shapes has, okay? And that's going to be very important for us to remember as we're looking at these and we identify them, that we're really identifying shapes based on their sides. That's the number one thing to look at. When we talk about a triangle, we know it's a triangle because it has 3 sides. We know a hexagon has 6, okay? And that an octagon has 8 sides. And that's very, very important for us to remember. Let's look at triangle types first. So we're going to look at the triangles in this group because this group, they're based on their sides. Okay. So an equilateral triangle, notice the word, it sounds like there's equal in there. All sides are the same. So for this type of triangle, all sides are equal. Okay, that's an equilateral triangle. And yes, you need to be writing that down. And notice that I have that little dash on each of these lines. When you're looking at a triangle, if the dash on 1, 2, or 3 of the sides is there's only one dash, that means that it's equal. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. It makes more sense if you look at the isosceles triangle. Now, an isosceles triangle has 2 sides that are the same and one that's not the same. So notice I put 1 dash on one side and the 1 dash on the other side, here and here, and that the one right here has 2 dashes. That means this side is the same as equal to this side, okay, that those 2 sides are the same. So an isosceles triangle has 2 equal sides, okay, only 2. Equilateral has 3, isosceles has 2. Now, a scalene triangle. Scalene triangle, all the sides are different. Now, look how I did that. I had a little slash. One side gets 1 slash, the other side gets 2, and the third one gets 3. That means all 3 sides are different. They're not equal. Okay? So our definition is no equal sides when we're talking about a scalene triangle. Okay? Now, the next group, let's change colors. Let's see if I can get another color that will work. Let's go to red. I think red will stand out. All right, so now we're talking about this group of angles. Okay? So we have right, acute, and obtuse. Well, and I said angles, I meant this group of triangles. When we're talking about right, acute, and obtuse, we're talking about angles of the triangles. So we have here, we have a right triangle has 1 90-degree angle. That little symbol means angle. Can a triangle have 2 90-degree angles? Well, the answer would be no, because 90 plus 90 equals 180. So a shape that had 2 90-degree angles would only have how many sides? It wouldn't be possible. A triangle has three angles, not two. So you can never have more than one right angle in a right triangle, or any triangle. Okay? So let's move on to the obtuse triangle. An obtuse triangle has one obtuse. I was going to do the symbol angle. One obtuse angle. And an acute triangle has all acute angles. No, I didn't mean to do a apostrophe. So an acute triangle has all acute angles. An obtuse triangle has one obtuse angle. And a right triangle has one right angle. Now, you can say that I have an equilateral acute triangle. You can say I have a scalene obtuse triangle. You could say I have a scalene right triangle. Okay. So you can combine the sides and the angles together to describe your triangles. All right, now we're talking about other types of shapes as well. So we're talking about sides. And let me zoom in on quadrilateral really quick. Because you can look at this word and tear it apart a little bit. The word quad means four. F-O-U-R. Okay? Quad means four, like quarter, quadrant. All of those things are you're talking about things of four. And lat, L-A-T, means side. Okay? So quadrilateral means four sides. Okay? When you look at the pentagon, pent means five. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to zoom. Octagon. Oct means eight. Kind of like an octopus. Octopus has 8 arms. A hexagon has 6. Okay? Let me zoom back. So we have many different polygon types, and each of these types has different characteristics. So for example, I need to use a thicker pen. Let me make it so you can see better. There we go. Back to the small one. Okay. A quadrilateral. We can describe it as having 4 sides. That's what its name means. Okay. This particular shape is a rectangle. A rectangle has 2 sets of parallel. Not parallel. Mr. Shando. Parallel lines. Okay. A pentagon, 5 sides, and no parallel. I'm going to abbreviate parallel lines. Okay. Octagon, 8 sides, 4 sets. So the top and the bottom, left and right, and then the diagonals are parallel. Okay, and a hexagon. 6 sides and 3 parallel. Oops. I meant to abbreviate it. Para lines. And a triangle. 3 sides, no Okay, the next important word that we need to remember is regular. When we talk about polygons, we talk about regular versus irregular polygons. For the most part, we're going to look at a lot of different regular polygons. So a regular polygon oof, start from over. A regular polygon, all sides and angles are equal. Okay, notice that in this hexagon, there's one dash on each of the sides. That means all of them are the same. And notice on the angles, they did the same thing. On that little crescent guy, they've put two little dashes. And that means that all of those angles are the same. They're all equal to each other. So you look at that and say, that's a regular polygon. And the one that we have right here, well, nothing looks the same. I mean, maybe these two sides are the same, just looking at it and kind of ballparking it. They look similar to each other, but the rest of them, they're not. For a polygon to be regular, I need all sides and angles to be the same, to be equal. Not just one or two, but all of them. Okay, a next way we can categorize polygons is convex versus concave. Notice in this shape right here, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided shape. It's a pentagon. Okay, is it regular? No, because none of the angles are all wonky. They're not. None of them are the same. Maybe these two are the same, but the rest are not. Okay. If I can draw a line on one of the sides, do I cross another side? I do not cross, if I got it straight on that line, I do not cross another side on any of those lines, okay? But look at the one over here, this concave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, again I have a pentagon. If I drew a straight line here, I'm not crossing a side. If I drew a straight line here, I'm not crossing a side. If I drew a straight line here, I am not crossing a side. But if I draw a straight line here, ooh, I go through the middle of the pentagon. And if I draw a straight line here, I go through the middle of the pentagon. So a concave pentagon, it's bent in. It goes into itself. Okay? The convex does not go into itself. It's all bent outward. All of the angles are going out. In here, one of the angles or two of the angles are going in. Okay? One side is moving in. All right, here's a little test for you to figure out how you can identify these different shapes. I'm going to check your answers tomorrow in class. So I have all of these different shapes, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11's here, 12, 13, 14. It goes all over the place. 15, and all the way down here to 16, and so on. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. There's 24 shapes in there. Describe them. Okay. Give a name to each shape. Now, there are many, for the four-sided shapes, there's many different names that they can get. Okay. Notice I didn't talk about number 2. I didn't give it a name, but you should be able to know what that is. Okay. And what is significant about it? What is it? How would you describe it? Okay. So I've got 24 different shapes I want you to look at and describe. And if you need to go back and look at the different words that I used, do that. And the next slide is my big idea. So all 2D shapes, which are polygons, so 2D shapes, polygons, many-sided shapes, have geometric properties that we use to categorize or group them. We start with sides, the number of sides, which tells us the name of the shape. Congruency. Now, I haven't defined congruency. Congruency means that they are equal. If a side is congruent, it means it's equal. Parallel, whether the sides are parallel, or skew. So parallel lines never cross each other. Skew lines do cross each other. So skew is the opposite of parallel. We also look at the angles, the congruency of the angles, and the type of angle, whether it's obtuse or acute or right. We also look at convex and concave shapes, and we also identify shapes or categorize shapes, whether they're regular or irregular. Okay? So go back to that previous slide if you haven't had a chance to finish it, and try to identify the different shapes that are in it. Give it a name, and then tell me at least one or two attributes about each of those shapes. Thank you. All right, good night.